That's the only way I can describe this morning. Sure, got out of my bed, and I was like, this can't be. This is what I signed up for. Holy hell in a handbasket. Shit, it was cold. Anyway, we're starting our day, whether you like it or not, whether we like it or not, or whether the world likes it or not. And we're not going to let some weather get us down. Right, Jack?
Not at all. Not at all. It's going to take a bit more than some freezing weather to stop us.
Damn straight. Jack
Yes,
Mutante. You did your first show yesterday. You can give that a plug. How did that go? You did, not your first show, but your first new show that you're doing on a Tuesday. By the way, this is good for those people who are bitching and moaning that we don't do a live show here on a Tuesday anymore. Well, we got something for you.
Yeah, it's called The Pod, and it kicked off yesterday. So we do the show essentially from 6 until 8.
Very good.
And listen, I had a very interesting conversation with a lady called Gogo Dineo.
Is she one of the...
Yes.
The Gogos?
She's one of those spiritually inclined people. So we didn't, go into it in a lengthy conversation, but the little that we did have kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But I actually want to have her in studio this time around so that we can have a genuine back and forth. But, she gave me a lot of insight. But I think my favorite part about the show yesterday was the conversation I had with Mr. Ernst van Sale.
Who dat?
He's the PR manager from AfriForum.
I was going to say they have an HR. That's good. Okay, so AfriForum have a PR department, and he's the guy.
He's the guy. Yeah. And listen, the conscious caracal, as he calls himself on
Twitter. I think I follow him.
Yeah, man.
I didn't know that was him.
Yeah, it's him. He's got a lot of really great things to tell the world about, and I'm all for it, man. I love it when people get off their ass and do some positive stuff.
Especially when they're brave enough to say stuff that is unpopular online, right?
Exactly. And I feel like 2024 is the year where we are supposed to reacquaint ourselves with the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it is.
Well, I mean, we don't have to talk so much politics because the elections are over. But of course, the first parliament of this new government that we've all gone to the polls and elected goes ahead on Friday.
Yep. Despite
all MK parties' desires to stop it from going ahead. We'll see if it happens or not. But man, has X become like vicious and nasty and just divisive? Like,
wait, it's become that?
No. I think it's ramped up because.
Oh, okay.
And here's the reason: like, you can tell the more passionate and angry and upset people are online, the more emotional. Because there's this thing going on called emotivism. There was a brilliant book written by, forget the guy's name, but it's called emotivism, and it's basically about how the powers that be or the powers that pay are intent on making us less intelligent and more emotional.
Yeah.
And that's how they maintain control of us. So if you go online now and you see a bunch of people talking about, South Africa's ruined, we're on our way down the toilet, everything's falling apart, wah, 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 wah. And you hear other people going, it's, the MK is the only way because the ANC and the DA together is going to bring back apartheid. And you just see these like really dumb, very emotional arguments.
Yeah.
So what it is it's partly that those people are easily manipulated, and they're being manipulated by political parties, by money that's paid to them to be influencers, micro-influencers. But it's like they haven't sat down and thought these things through. So they're also appealing from their point of view to the rest of us to be emotive as well. And you don't have to get into it. Like, you don't.
Yeah, you're
like, I saw this white dude I follow the other day. He was going, there's so much racism online and all this stuff. And I said to him, look, calm down. You don't have to react to this stuff.
You really don't.
It's not real. We know it's the tiniest minority of people who are doing this. You don't have to be especially sensitive or prickly or react emotionally, because then kind of they win, whoever they are.
Yeah.
Don't fall for it. So, politics is just a game. And they're going to carry on playing this game after Friday. They've been playing it before Friday. They're going to do it in the halls of power forever and a day. If you're going to base your life or your happiness on the outcome of an election, or which political party gets which cabinet post, or you're worried about like things like the some party bringing back apartheid. I mean, first of all, you are unhinged. You don't know your history
at all.
But second of all, you're allowing yourself to be manipulated. Like there's a happy place that you can live in that doesn't involve you having to be pulled into every ugly argument. Just stay away from it. I do.
Here's a revolutionary idea.
Yeah.
Lock your phone.
Yeah. Well,
put it down.
Exactly. It's like when a child's having a tantrum, you take away their toys.
Yeah, that's it.
You lock them in a room and you say, "Now, till you behave, you're not getting your toys again." You must train yourself to switch your phone off. That's a good idea.
It really is that simple. It's not that hard.
Well, there's so much going on in the world at the moment. I've got the most awesome and hilarious clips for you to look at just now, Jack. I want you to see these. I want to hear everybody's reaction to this stuff
listen,
too.
I'm going to hold you to it. Before the show started, Gareth guaranteed that these clips will not piss me off.
Well, you were very funny last week. Like all the rants that you went down. I mean, it was just everywhere we turned, Jack found a reason to get furious, which was funny.
I needed to let it go. I just needed to let it go.
Oh man, look. To be fair, I also think what made it fun is that you had a sense of humor about all of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you were pissed off and left here like in a tantrum. But
only kids do that.
So a couple of things that we have to get to this morning. First things first. Stephen A. Smith is this. He is a commentator in America on TV. He's been a morning show host on television for a while.
Yeah,
very outspoken guy. He has quite a lot to say about sport in general, which is great. By the way, we're launching our brand new sports show this week too. So you're going to get to see Ben's new show with Sandy Leshangase this week for the first time. Brand new.
That promo video was hilarious, by the way.
It's good stuff. Just wait till you see it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Really, this is going to be the sports show to end all sports shows. But Stephen A. Smith is now going at the WNBA. WNBA, nobody cares because it's women who play basketball. I've got about 3 viewers in the whole world.
Yep.
But those 3 viewers are all trained on this new star.
Caitlin Clark,
who's making all the noise. She is the only reason that anyone's watching.
Mm-hmm.
But all the other girls on the WNBA hate her.
Which is stupid.
Yeah, but this is typical of girls. So, ladies, I've got to give you as much shit as we give and get.
Yep.
As guys, we receive our fair share. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It is 2024. We're not living in the patriarchy anymore. But there's no way this would happen in a guy's team because guys, if someone on your team gets attacked, you stand up for them.
That's it.
You fight for them. You back them up.
Yep.
If there's an altercation on the court, like I saw this Caitlin, she got like rammed by another player.
Yeah.
Body slammed, basically. All the other teammates are like,
yep.
Only girls do that.
Yeah.
Guys would help their guy.
They would help
their teammate. Women just don't have that gene. They don't do that. And for all the talk of compassion and the gentle sex and all of that stuff, Jesus, women can be horrible to each other.
Yes, they can.
Woo.
Yes, they
can. So is this what he talked about?
Well, he was pointing out the fact that the women's Olympic team has been put together and Caitlin Clark isn't a member of that team.
She's not in it?
No, she's not. And
why?
When you think
why wouldn't
about
they put her in? She's like the superstar. That would be like not including
Michael Jordan or LeBron James.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the most nonsensical thing ever. And the women that are trying to make the point that, look, she doesn't have the right experience. She hasn't played long enough, bloody, 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 blah. And it's like,
a lot of shit.
Let's look at it from a different perspective, right? On average, WNBA games have an audience of about 4,000 people. Ever since Caitlin Clark joined the WNBA after playing collegiate basketball, they went from 4,000 to 17,000. In fact, they had to change venues
in
order to accommodate every person that wanted to be.
Like I said, they used to have 1 viewer, now they got 4.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In fact, it's from 1 to now 20, actually. That's how exponential of the growth.
So she's done a good thing.
She's done an unbelievable thing. But people in the States are hating because she's white.
Oh, is that what
I'm gonna say it straight up because I can
heard
tell.
One of the girls saying something like that when she was interviewed. She's like, I don't like her. She white and she's straight, which is also a big problem.
Which is another problem.
Because most of the women in the WNBA are lesbians.
Yeah. And all I'm saying is this. When it comes right down to it, give the people what they want to see. Okay?
If maybe they want to watch your lesbian black ass.
No, I don't.
Maybe they want to see this girl.
Yeah. You know what I mean? They want to watch this blonde girl running around shooting threes like she's Steph Curry. Honestly speaking, I don't watch the WNBA.
No.
I watch the NBA. But Caitlin Clark is the only reason that I'd actually tune into the WNBA.
If they didn't select her because of that.
It's part of the reason.
That's stupid. And if it were going the other way, everyone would be in uproar.
Yeah, it would.
So I will be very surprised if people aren't. It would mean that they have two systems running in opposite directions in their head the whole time, something we call cognitive dissonance.
Yes, sir.
And it's something you see a lot online. You're like, people set up a completely fabricated reality on one side, and then the real reality, the actual way that the world works, sometimes pops its head in and goes, boo. But those people, I mean, if they're in charge of the WNBA, then they deserve to fail. That's all.
It's stupid. Like if free marketing, just free, let this young girl go to the Olympics, let the rest of the world watch, and then we'll start
questioning. By the way,
like, where does she play?
There can't be a lot of white women in the WNBA.
I don't think there are.
There are. I don't. So then isn't it diversity to have one in?
Yes, it is.
So these people who use that word diversity all the time, they don't seem to understand it when it goes the other way. They're like, suddenly their brain short circuits. You know, again, we're dealing with not very bright people. What did Donald Trump say? They're not sending their best people. These are very low energy, very low IQ people.
Yep.
I'm afraid that's what it sounds like. It sounds like the WNBA needs new management.
It's just silly, man. And you know what? Like it's almost, not even almost. It's gotten to the point whereby you come across these things and you genuinely wonder what point they're trying to prove. Like, what's the end game here?
Well, they're not. They don't think that far. They're trying to, for the moment, they're trying to tick boxes. They're trying to please a very loud constituency that make all the noise and don't actually deliver the wins.
I like the fact that you said loud because it's not a large.
No, it's not
large.
It's a couple of loud people. It's like on X, the way we started the show. If you respond to the loudest, there could be on your way to work this morning, there could be a homeless person banging on an empty drum on the street corner, making a hell of a racket. They could be high on Nyaupe or whatever, and they could be screaming and shouting, could rip their shirt off, take their dick out, whatever. Just because they're loud doesn't mean you have to pay attention to them. And it doesn't mean their opinion matters. They're still a homeless drug addict on the street corner that you could probably just drive past and get on with your morning.
Yeah.
Might even just provide you with a little entertainment.
In fact, it's advisable that you just drive past.
Well, you're not going to engage, are you?
Of course not. Well, I mean, these idiots are trying to engage.
That's the point. Don't pay. Just, you know what? These loud groups, as many people in politics in South Africa realized just a couple of weeks ago with the election, just because they're loud doesn't mean they're right. Just because they think they're right doesn't mean we have to pay attention to them.
Yes, sir.
Don't worry about it. Most of the noise that I see coming from, especially politically agitated people online at the moment in this country, is from the people who are probably not likely to be part of the government. That's why they're making a noise.
Yep.
I don't know if you've noticed, the ANC, quiet as church mice at the moment. And when they do say something, it sounds so sensible, no one can really argue with it.
Yeah.
The DA,
unless it's coming from Figgy.
DA not making a sound, keeping their heads down because they know anything they say at the moment is going to get them into shit, which is finally some senses prevailed clearly over there.
Yeah.
IFP, not a sound. Who's making a noise? The EFF, MK, Gayton. Why? Because they're worried they're going to be left out. And remember, if those three parties that I mentioned at the beginning, the ANC, DA, and IFP, start a coalition of a kind, government of national unity, and they share out the duties and responsibilities of government between them, guess what? Those other parties don't matter anymore because they're all tiny, tiny minorities. They've all got less than, 14% is the highest of them with MK. And they can do the government things without them. They don't need them. So why would you listen to the homeless drug addict on the street corner if you're driving past in your car to work where you have a job to do?
Yeah.
It's up to you. You make that decision this morning and your life will get better. All right, well, we've got the window seat with travel.co.za coming up in a little bit. And we've got Nicolas Regisford popping by, who is the founder and director of the South African Podcast and Music Festival, which is very exciting. I'm speaking there on Friday.
Yeah, that's coming up this weekend, eh?
Yeah, everybody these days has got a podcast. So good on Nicolas. He's decided he's going to do a day, 2 days actually, that they're doing, where you can meet the people that have done the things. You can hear about how to do your own podcast. You can learn about what works, what doesn't.
Yep.
How to make money if you've got enough people listening and watching. So all of that's happening on Friday and Saturday. And we thought we'd get Nicolas in today. So he's popping by a little later as well. So Monet Dupré for travel.co.za and Nicolas Regisford popping by. Plus, I've got a bunch of really, really funny stuff to tell you and to show you this morning. So let's start off with this. What did I send you, James? I even need to check what I sent him because I sent him so much stuff last night. It's like, no, don't worry, I got it. There's another thing. He's so frightened I'm going to shit on him every morning that.
Yeah, you know what? I like it when James is uncomfortable.
All right, so
have fun skating on thin ice.
Here's a girl, a young girl moaning. You're going to love the reason that she's moaning. She is concerned about people who they're not able to arrive at work on time. She's one of those people. There's a word for it. Okay? There's a term for this. And she's really upset that people won't accept that she sometimes is late and that it's not her fault. She's suffering from this thing that she'll explain now. And you mustn't get cross with her. And she thinks it's so unfair that no one wants to give her a job because she can't arrive on time.
I haven't seen this thing yet, but from how you're expressed, yeah, like I don't want to get pissed. Let's see what happens.
All right, play it. Let's all be open-minded about this. All right, let's see if we like her.
So I just got yelled at for asking a very reasonable question. So I'm applying to go somewhere, and I just wanted to know: are there accommodations for people who struggle with time blindness and being on time? And then the person I was with interrupted and acted like I was asking something else. And then when we were done, they actually started yelling at me and saying that accommodations for time blindness doesn't exist. And if you struggle with being on time, you'll never be able to get a job. Provided you're trying your absolute best to be there. And then they're like, your stupid generation wants to destroy the workplace. And yeah, I think that a culture where workers are just cut off because they struggle with being on time, when there's other solutions that we can look to. I think that just anybody who thinks it's okay to just treat people like that, yeah, that culture needs to be dismantled. And then I asked that person, how can you feel good about yourself upholding this kind of system? And then to think I'm entitled. No, if people think it's okay to treat others like this, that's entitlement.
All right, so she calls it time blindness. That's what they refer to it as, time blindness. She says it's a real thing. She says, you can't blame my generation. And you know what? Frankly, yes, we do want to dismantle the whole system if the system is so unfair and you guys are so unfair that you won't give me a job because I can't arrive on time. I'll hand over to Jack. Go on. What do you say to her?
I don't know. I'm trying not to be angry. I'm really trying not to be. Here's the problem. Like, why should the entire world have to flip and flop and change just because you can't get out of bed on time? Like, what the hell is going on? What is your time blindness?
Time blindness.
No, you're just a lazy shit. That's what it is.
No, she says she's trying really hard. She can't help it. It's this thing she suffers from called time blindness.
No.
Come on.
You look. There's your phone does all of these amazing things, including recording that stupid video. It's got this tiny little thing on it. It's called an alarm. You set it to the time where you need to be up, have enough time to bath and get yourself ready and take on the world. God damn it. Like, it's called an alarm clock. Just use it.
So if she came to you for a job.
Oh, no. No, I wouldn't even bother letting you sit down for an interview. There's punctuality communicates a lot. It means that you take your time and the person's time seriously.
Yeah.
And here's the problem. What people don't seem to understand is this. Time is literally all we have, okay? Like, as much as we might want to buy all of these material things and fill our lives with a bunch of things, all you really have at the end of the day is time. Because when your time is gone, you're out of here.
Right.
So if you're going to waste my time because you don't know how to use an alarm clock, you and I have got a problem. I'm certainly not going to work with you. I don't want you as a friend. I don't want to hear you complain and bitch and moan about other things either. Okay,
Well,
like, you can tell this person's got a lot of problems besides time.
Yeah, exactly. But I love the way there's this attitude in the world today that if something isn't working for you, it's not you that needs to fix things. It's the whole world that needs to conform to you. Like, that to me is the real sickness here. There may be people who genuinely cannot get their asses out of bed on time. They just can't get anything done. They're always late. Like, every single appointment, they're 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes late. There are people like that. We all know people like that. And I feel like that's a real handicap because you just don't have discipline.
At all.
But to expect the whole world to change to suit you.
Who are you exactly?
Yeah, like that kind of, there's a word for it, solipsism. It means the sun, putting yourself at the center of the universe, and everything has to revolve around you. And to me, this is, if there's any problem with young people in the world today, it's that. It's like this idea that whatever it is in the world that isn't working for you couldn't possibly be your fault. It must be that the system should be torn down and we should start again. In other words, dispose of thousands of years of human experience, evolution, trial and error, people starting wars, ending wars, all kinds of stuff happening that you have no respect for because you know better, and you're going to arrive on Earth like Jesus and change everything.
And mind you, you haven't been alive that long. I'm not sure we can even trust your experience up until this point. Like, whomst are you?
Yeah.
Who
Hey,
do you
McGill
think you
says
are?
it's his 50th birthday today. I've been listening to Gareth's show for 17 years, 7 on the radio and 10 on Cliff Central and the Real Network. Nice.
Hey, happy birthday.
Thank you. That's very good, McGill. Happy birthday.
Yes, sir.
She should start a club with Prince Harry, the Whining and Whinging Club. Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of people who like whinging and whining.
Yeah, they are. I feel like the problem is people get notoriety for whining and crying. We reward bad behavior a bit too much these days.
So there's that old line that punctuality is the politeness of kings. And it started with, I think, Louis XIV, who was absolutely fastidious about manners, about what was acceptable and what wasn't. This is at the court of Versailles in the late 1600s, early 1700s. You know, everything had rules. Like the way you walked, the way you ate, what you wore, the way you spoke, everything had rules. And to him, the most polite thing he could do was, when invited to something, arrive on time. And he would always do that. Now, I don't know who this girl is. I'm sure that she is a lovely person in her spare time. I'm sure that she's got a couple of interesting observations about the world that I might not have encountered. But I wouldn't want to work with her.
No.
And if she came to me for a job, I would say to her, it's very nice to meet you and I wish you well, but no, it's not here.
You've wasted your time.
Vincent says it's laziness. I had to fire my younger brother and my cousin on the same damn day. They were just fucking late every fucking day. Family or not, they had to go. Now, Vincent, good for you.
Yep.
You're not going to tolerate that, because you know what they'll do. They'll just pass on the irresponsible, undisciplined way of the world to your clients and then ruin your relationships with them. Can you imagine that? Ugh.
Do you know what's interesting? If we were to flip this coin and say, well, your paycheck is going to be a little late this month.
Yeah, try that. Try that. Let's see how that
change.
goes. Yeah.
You know, these corporations, they just want to manipulate you all the time.
We work and then they don't pass on time. It's so unfair.
Yeah, you see?
Right. You're
Only
right.
when it comes to shit that you care about, now all of a sudden things need to show up in a timely fashion.
Your boss is time blind and he just doesn't pay you this month.
Yeah, paycheck blind.
How's that going to go? All right. So It's the me attitude, says Silentificent, causes everything to rotate around them. Shambucking is lacking in her life. Yeah, Silentificent, you're right.
If there's a term, a phrase, spare the rod, spoil the child.
Again, beatings. We've been talking a lot about beatings this week. We had an HR stroke psychologist woman on a Monday. Did you see her?
Yeah, I saw her.
And I said to her, what do you think about beatings? Like, shouldn't we? She's like, no, that's a very bad idea. Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying as when you are these tiny little things.
Yeah.
That's how I learned the difference between being unique and being special. Okay.
There we go.
My dad told me you are unique. You have to build to be special.
Bitcoin Bot says chops to Vincent for firing his family. Yeah, that's real. That guy lives the exactly the truth that he's putting out there.
Yeah.
Janine says my best is I am always late because I'm Portuguese. Well, that's a great excuse. Imagine if someone said I'm late because I'm black or I'm white. That's going to go well, right? It's going to go beautifully.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's another thing I want you to see. This is a guy, in America, they've got this huge, it's an epidemic at the moment of people stealing deliveries. Because what they do in America is they'll put your box from Amazon or Temu or whatever on your balcony or your porch, what they call it, outside your front door. And then that's where they deliver it to. And most people have these cameras in America on their doors. Well, people steal the packages. So
I think they call it DoorDash or something.
Yeah,
like that.
something like that. I saw a great video. I wasn't going to get this one, but I've got another one to show you. I saw one yesterday who the guy he stole the package and then he went around the corner and then the owner came around and grabbed him and he's a big guy. And he says to him, put the package down, and then he beats him. And it's like, we talk about a beating, he beats him. And this guy, eventually has his teeth rearranged and he's let go of, and the guy gets his package back. But this video, and I love this because the guy who thinks he's going to get away with stealing the package, that continues to be his thought until he sees this guy arrive. Just take a look at this clip.
Put my shit back on this fucking porch. Yeah. I saw you when you got out the motherfucking car. You're trying to put my shit back on this motherfucking porch. Sure. You done lost your motherfucking mind. You done come up on my shit and took my shit. You got it. You lucky. You got it. You lucky. You got it. Motherfucker. You see this motherfucker just try.
I love the way he runs. At the end, he's like doing a figure of 8 to get the hell out of the way because he doesn't know. Guy comes out with an AR-16. He's like, I'm gonna shoot your ass. Bring that back. Bring that back, motherfucker. Put that down.
Listen, I'm gonna poke so many holes in you. It's not gonna be funny.
It's fantastic.
You better put my package down.
Yeah, they call them porch pirates, according to Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
All right.
Such horrible behavior. Like, what the hell is wrong with you?
I love it, man.
No, but I think we need to all. Well, if this ever happens in we don't really have porches like that in SA, so it's not going to be a real thing.
No, it's worth a try though. Okay, there's one other thing quickly. We don't have to rush, but here's a girl. She's a news reporter. She's trying to do her news report on the street, but because she's in a red dress and she's quite attractive, as the cars go by, they hoot. And she can't do her news report because they're hooting at her the whole time.
Yeah.
And she gets annoyed. But she dressed like that and she's hot. And I'm sorry, these guys are just showing appreciation.
Yeah.
But look at how annoyed she gets. Take a look at this.
Grow frustrated and Alan Brown, WBRZ, Team 2 traffic. While they were removing 2020. Bruh. Jesus. Oh my God! Well, DOT.
I mean, I want to feel sorry for her, but I don't really. And you can see she's annoyed, but at the same time, I think a part of her is like, yeah, thank God they noticed me. Because if you were, and she's in pretty good shape, and she looks like she's a fairly attractive woman. We can't see most of her, but we can see enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that she's getting kudos from passing motorists.
Yeah,
which is great. Wonder how many of our news reporters would get that. Probably not a lot, because if you watched the TV,
not a lot.
People would try to drive into them.
No. Like some of our reporters actually get mugged.
Right.
Live on TV.
So from a woman in the traffic getting hooted at to a woman in her car who's just had enough. Now, I especially got this clip for you, Jack, because I thought you'd sympathize with her. She's your kind of girl. She is ranting a little bit about the problems in society today. And she reckons that the source of all of our problems is this.
It should be good.
So all those nerds in high school, like the weird theater kids and the anime people, and you know who I'm talking about, the people we didn't hang out with. So they've grown up now, and they're the ones making the laws. They're the Mark Zuckerbergs. They're the Faucis of the world of fucking nerds.
Come on.
Okay, it goes on. I mean, I don't have to play the whole thing for you, but she goes on this tirade. She's like, these people who are running the world, who are making all these stupid rules, who are telling us what to think and what to do, these are the nerds. She said, we got to stand up for ourselves.
Yeah.
And we got to throw these nerds out of office.
I love the fact that she said these were the people we didn't hang out with.
At high school. And they're bitter and twisted and angry, and now they're taking it out on the rest of us and trying to control us.
It's the villain's origin story.
Correct.
That's what it is.
Yeah. So she says no more. We're not going to put on with that. Put up with that anymore. I would honk all day, says Naked Goose, at that woman, and not because of the girl, but because of the camera. Same reason I'd hoot near golf clubs. Oh yeah, people love doing that, by the way. The nerds in office, where they're all over the place.
They really
in
are.
America, they are, and they're in business. They're the ones who are telling us that we have to wear a smartwatch that monitors our calorie intake and output, and like these are people who are trying to get information about you the whole time, and they should stay the hell away.
Yeah, and you know, like when I think about it. At the end of the day, what the point that young lady was making is actually pretty true. Because while we were out doing all of the cool stuff that teenagers do, these little villains were in their bedroom putting together the Apple Mac and all of this other stuff and what. And then now we're surprised.
Now they made billions and they're telling us what to do.
Yeah, we can't be surprised that they decided to rule the world. I mean, and you know, since technology has taken over, the people that come up with all of these things are the ones that lead us, whether you like it or not.
Correct.
But I will say this, while we were out doing all of that cool stuff and they were, you know, fiddling around with their gadgets and all of this stuff, we also got into a couple of fights. So if needs be, I know I can take a punch. I can also give one.
You're right. You're tough.
Yeah.
Right.
Resilient.
You learn some street smarts.
That's it.
Okay. So raising kids, something that comes up on the show all the time. We talk about how hard it is to be a parent, and I sympathize with parents, and also how shitty kids can be. But this is a photograph taken, I think, in the 1920s. But it's an amazing picture because it's a picture of, no, it's from 1955, actually. It's a picture of Princess Ivan and Prince Alexander, I think of Yugoslavia, but European royalty. Prince Alexander's 12 and Princess Ivan is 13. Have a look at this picture. They're on a yacht. I mean, they're royals, okay? But this is how royals behaved in the 1950s.
Oy.
Check that out. The 12-year-old kid has a cigarette and some alcohol, and the 13-year-old princess, she's got the bottle of wine and she's knocking it back. They both look very civilized to me.
Yeah. How deep do you think his voice was by the time he turned 15?
I don't know, but I like those kids already. I'm like, you know what? I like them. And I have a lot of time for their parents. Whoever their parents were, whichever king and queen were their parents, I'm a fan. Look at that kid. He's so chilled with that cigarette. He looks refined and distinguished and, you know, dignified. She's obviously knocking it back. She's probably become I don't know if she's still alive. I doubt it. But she probably became a terrible alcoholic, but at least she had some character and personality. So, you know what, parents, don't give yourself too hard a time. if your kids are smoking and drinking at 12 and 13, like the
Yeah.
princess and prince over there. I mean, they're a prince and princess. Your kids aren't. So how can you set a higher standard than that for them?
Look at that.
And then I saw this, which is amazing. So in the 70s, like I was born in the 70s. I'm not embarrassed to admit the 70s were cool for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
One of the things that was not cool in the 70s, apparently parents were so horrible to their children in the 70s that they had to make a public service ad. They had to actually make an ad for TV in Kentucky in the US in the 1970s to remind parents to hug their kids once in a while and not just shout at them. Okay, so if you think you grew up tough, imagine growing up in a country where the government actually makes an ad to remind parents to hug their kids. If you feel sorry for yourself this morning, you've had a rough start to the day, you know, maybe your husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend said something shitty to you this morning. You couldn't find the right thing to wear. You're feeling a little under the weather. It's freezing outside. Just be pleased that you weren't a kid in the 70s. Take a look at this.
Omelet, what's for supper?
Can't you see that I'm on the phone? Hold it down, I just got home. Isn't it enough that I work all day?
At least you get a chance to get away. Dishes, diapers, dirty rags.
Bosses, bills, and nag.
Daddy.
Shut up, kids, you're in the way. I'm so mad I can slap your face.
Did I do something wrong?
Have you hugged your kid today? Did you send him on his way? With love, 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 love. She's a person just like you. She's got feelings too, so give her love, 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 love. If you hug him for a while, it'll leave you with a smile. He'll know it's love, 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 love.
This message is brought to you by this station and the Kentucky Department for Human Resources in the interest of our children. By the way,
have you hugged your kid today?
Have you hugged your kid today? I love that. I mean, they have to remind parents, like, don't be a total asshole. Just remember to hug your kid today. So, again,
oh my goodness.
If you're a parent that feels that we have a go on this show at you and that we blame you for your shitty children, hug your kid today. Maybe they won't be so bad.
Do you know what killed the duet of smack you in the face? Oh, man.
Yeah, that was your favorite part.
Oh,
of that.
my goodness. So the mom would slap with the left, if dad would slap with the right.
I love the way
double contact.
I love the way you got someone sat in a. This is what I loved about like the advertising business in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
They were so practical and pragmatic. Someone sat in a meeting and they said, so we've got this budget. Now we got to make an ad to get parents to be less shitty to their kids. Let's start the ad with a little girl going, "Mommy, what's for supper?" And the mother losing her shit with the kid.
Can you imagine
You
the
got to ask yourself
storyboard?
what kind of a life that advertising executive had
Oh
up
my
to then.
goodness.
Wow, he was to his kids.
Yeah. Like I imagine that office was filled with people who had never got a single hug from their parents. They were like, you know what? This is the perfect way to storyboard
We'll
the
get it
story.
back.
Like I remember this one time I came downstairs and asked my mom what was for dinner. And
Yeah.
this is what she said to
She
me.
shat on me. My dad made me smoke a packet of cigarettes at 13, says Raven. When he caught us smoking behind the water pump house, I was sick for days. It made me want to smoke even more. Massive fail.
Oh,
Yeah, you see, he thought you'd go never again.
you'd go in the opposite direction. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Hey?
JP says there is a balance, though. Kids today get treated with oven mitts, and look at the damn world now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, honestly speaking, that's what life is all about. You need to strike a balance between being a tyrant and being a loving parent. You have to.
Well, Bitcoin Butch says in the comments, maybe that's why family photos started showing smiles, because they never used to write. The family photos were all very serious. Everyone would be in the photo going, they didn't pull. You remember that movie, that thing, something in the West with Charlize Theron, and I can't remember what the hell it's called. Someone will know in the comment section. But that movie, they all pose for a photo, and like the first person to ever smile is in one of those pictures. Because before that, people never smiled in pictures or portraits or whatever. So at some point, they must have thought, well, if we don't smile with these kids in the picture, they're going to think we're beating them the whole time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Jesus.
But I mean, back in those days, they had some real problems. So caring about kids wasn't the priority.
100 Ways to Die in the West. Thank you very much. It's one of the best movies. There's this awesome scene where this guy is like, it's Gilbert Gottfried, you know, the one who shouted, "I'm President Lincoln," and he's standing there in that long stovepipe hat, and he's like charging people money, but he's like a fake President Lincoln, and they're all lining up to meet him and give him money. It's fantastic. Oh, by the way, just in case I hadn't told you already, I think I did, but we have a brand new sports show starting this week, and you must watch the socials to get the latest. They're recording it today. So you're going to have a brand new and fantastic sports show here on the Real Network. We'll tell you more about it. It's called On the Bounce, featuring our own Ben Karpinski, Sandile Shangase, and it's going to be jam-packed with good stuff. So if you're a sports fan, don't miss out on that.
Tune in.
Yes, absolutely. People had to smile. Oh, they didn't smile in the old days because they had bad teeth. That could be true.
Yeah.
But you can still smile without showing your teeth.
Yeah, you could.
You know?
Wow.
They didn't smile. They had these serious looks on their faces.
Because they had actual problems.
Yes, they had you're right.
Had real things
like the
to deal with.
rinderpest and dysentery. And, yeah.
Like they had
problems.
genuine problems to deal with. Like, what am I walking around smiling for? It's not such a great day after
I have
all.
to go out and I have to shoot my lunch.
Yeah. Yep. Squirrels beware.
Yes.
Deer beware.
Right. Today, what are you doing today, Dad? Same as I do every day, going to shoot our lunch.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to chop wood so that we don't freeze to death.
Yep.
That's what people had real purpose.
Problem.
Real problems.
We'll huddle around the radio just to find out what's happening in the rest of the world.
Who's the president? I don't know. Now everyone cares about who the president is, and they don't care about whether there's, wood in the fire.
Meanwhile, every radio show would sound exactly the way you would expect, especially like I feel like in the 60s and the 70s, all of these people spoke the same way. Well, we're going to make sure that you know what I mean? It's like that's the only entertainment you literally had. So yeah, stuff smiles, man.
All right. Well, it is 6:45, nice and early in the morning. And one of the few people I know who will be up early and who doesn't mind coming in early is Monet Dupré. He's from travel.co.za, from Turvest Travel Services. He's the CEO. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that is going on with TTS. And I know they've been doing a lot behind the scenes that most of us who book on travel.co.za don't know about, but some of us do. And it's worth finding out about this stuff because this is what is happening in the travel business. And for anyone who travels, even if you're not aware of it, then you will know for sure that this is how it's happening behind the scenes, what actual technology goes into making all of this occur. So Monet is here, and we're going to talk a little bit about travel IT, which we've discussed once or twice before, but they're changing it now. It's called Travel IT Global. So how's it, Monet?
Hey, Gareth, Jack.
How are you?
Cool, man.
Early, hey?
Like to be here.
Nice and fresh.
I love the shades.
I dig the new space.
Lekker.
First time looking at the new studio. Very cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Talk about cool, those glasses.
Right?
Yeah.
Cheers, man. Cheers.
If you wear those, that filter, the yellow, makes everything look brighter and happier, right?
100%. So there's green screen's green.
That's why I like it. Right. It's I have a pair of glasses like that. I haven't got the balls to, maybe I'm just not cool enough to wear them. But I love the way it makes the world look. Makes everything a little happier and brighter. So if you're depressed, just get a pair of those glasses like Monet's got. All right, so travel IT, we know that this is the system that is the back end, the spine of what makes so much in the travel industry in South Africa work. You've got major businesses, business-to-business stuff, where they book using travel IT, whether they're aware of it or not. People who are using Discovery, for example. This is the system behind the scenes that makes that work. And now you're calling it Travel IT Global. Why is this?
Look, I mean, Gareth, I think, we've done really, really well in sub-Saharan Africa using the tech and showing, really good savings, really good compliance, a really good travel experience to all of our travelers on this side of the world. But it's time to start exporting it. So that's the big thing. So we're looking at it, say, okay, cool, how do we take this to other places, moving along? We love in Africa and South Africa to see ourselves as being subservient or arse end of Africa as a little place.
We're always borrowing other people's technology, coming up with very little of our own. This is something that works, that we know is a very good tried and tested product. Now we're going to send it overseas and teach them a thing or two.
Exactly. So, I think that's the important thing. I travel to a lot of these tech shows, tech events, deal with a lot of the international suppliers, and a lot of them supply, complement our tech. And I must be honest with you, I haven't seen anything as good and as robust as ours. Of course, there's cool things there. There's a lot of good products out there. So not knocking all the competition. Yeah. But I think what we've built here is something unique and something really good. And I believe that we can show, the rest of the world, and especially, we're going to the UK, as you know, soon. Just showing them how good we actually are. And if you think about, South Africa being tech savvy, well, I think we must probably have one of the best tech minds being exported to the States. Yes, a little bit loony at times,
Elon.
But definitely one of the best tech minds.
Did you see him, by the way, because I know you pay attention to what he's up to. Did you see him having a go at Apple? He's going to bring out his own phone because he doesn't like the fact that Apple is now using ChatGPT. And they're integrating it straight into their phones without our permission. And he's nervous about AI, right?
Yeah, of course, I think he is. I mean, I think he was one of the pioneers of AI. If you really want to think about that, if you look at the way that PayPal was set up and the way that it worked, it was leagues above, ahead of most times. Even the way that his vehicles are now supposed to be self-driving. Well, no, that's all AI driven. So is he worried that someone's going to steal his thunder there a little bit?
I don't know. He has raised alarm bells because he said that what we've got to be careful of is that we don't want to let the AI start programming itself to the point where it actually makes decisions that are bad for humanity, because it could very well do that without trying to. So it's not evil, but if you say to it, solve the problem of, I don't know, global warming or overpopulation, it's going to program something in there that's about killing people.
Yeah.
Even though it's not programmed to kill people, that is the best solution to a problem if you don't consider all the different aspects that it might not. And I mean, he goes into how machine learning and particularly these large language models are actually, they could be very, very dangerous if they're allowed to operate without very specific rules. And we're still figuring out what those rules are. So I don't know. But I mean, Elon's a great example of, the kind of thinking that originated here. He obviously doesn't have much to do with South Africa anymore. But I love the fact that we are developing absolutely intellectual property patented stuff in South Africa that we can then export to the rest of the world. You mentioned London. What's happening there?
So the Travel Technology Show is happening at the TTE in London at the Convention Centre from the 19th to the 20th.
Also TTS, Travel Technology Show.
TTE, Travel Technology and Event Show. So it's
okay.
It's really there's three events happening in one there. So I'm not going to bore you with all of those events, but focus on the one that's particularly for us is for the travel buyers, the travelers, the corporations, the TMCs out there, guys looking at new tech. Me going to see what the other guys have to offer there to make sure we have to space there. But really, it's showcasing tech to people interested in buying and using the experience.
By the way, one of the cool things about the travel IT technology that you guys have developed is that you can take care of expenses for people. And this is really good because a lot of people go on company travel. They go over for meetings, conferences, trips that the company's paying for. And then they have to collect a whole bunch of receipts. They get a per diem, maybe. They've got to know what they're spending, where. And that can be an absolute nightmare. This system also takes care of that.
100%. Fully integrated travel and entertainment procurement solution. So really what it is, on the fly, I'm most probably one of the worst travelers. I go and spend and
you change your flights all the time.
Change my flights all the time. Yeah. You got to do things on the fly. So instead of, coming home and trying to empty my backpack with all the receipts there and getting my PA to sift through them, not knowing what they are. Now I just take a photo at the point of time of paying. I take a photo of you and say, listen, this is the person that I'm actually entertaining. So there is a little bit of proof. But I upload it onto the Travel IT app at that point in time, send it for approval. Group CEO can approve it within 5 minutes of getting there. I mean, sometimes I do it while I'm on the flight because the Wi-Fi working quite well. And then the rule in our company is, really, if you get your expenses in before Thursday, you'll get paid on a Saturday. So it's, it's quite a good way to manage your cash as well. If you've you're paying on your credit card and you're getting 45, 55 days free credit on there, and I can get my expenses returned within 3 or 4 days of the expense being incurred, I'm actually making money.
Brilliant. Okay, so where in the world do you think that they're going to take up Travel IT Global? Where do you think they're going to start using it?
So we have an active customer, a global customer, operating in the UK already. So hence we're utilizing it or showcasing at the UK store. There's good similarities out there. The people are very similar to South Africans. Hell of a lot of South Africans there as well. But time zones aren't a challenge. The way that business operates there is very similar. The law is very similar. All of those type of things play into the South African space quite well. So I think it was a good area for us to kickstart it rather than anywhere else in Europe. Obviously, we're operating in Africa quite well.
Sure.
But I think, it makes it quite easy for us to travel there as well. What is the beauty about that market, although they've got less or more or less equal population, they've got about 6 times more travel spend than what South Africa has.
By the way, what is the global travel market worth? I mean, this is...
Look, it's a very interesting scenario at this point in time, but it's significant and growing. Depending on what stat you actually read there, it's all different ways. And I don't want to put out a number here and the guys hold me to it and say, well, all of our budgets are going to be cut. But what it is doing, it's still growing, and it's going to continue growing. So, you remember I was on the show a couple of years back when we had the COVID scenario.
Yeah.
And we said, travel's never going to get back to where it was. And I said, well, no, it's actually going to be bigger.
You did.
And
you
if we go back,
that.
And if we go back to that, it is going to grow on a continual basis.
Yeah, I mean, it only makes sense because we were locked in for a couple of months, close to a year, basically. So the moment you are set free, you run wild.
And that's what people want to spend their money on.
Yeah,
exactly. So hopefully we can go and encapsulate some of those billions and billions of dollars of travel spend they're sitting out there. So if we look at the UK from our perspective, it is quite close to home. There's a number of South African companies that have they've moved in that direction very successfully.
Yeah, a couple of them have listed on the London Stock Exchange too.
Correct, but just a springboard for us. But I think the critical thing for us, what we've got to remember is we're trying to export our technology. The Tourist philosophy, new philosophy that we've got there is to say wherever we go, we're going global, but we're going to stay local. So we'll operate with the local people. So we're not coming here to say, listen, I'm moving into the UK. I'm setting up a lot of TTS brands. I'm coming to eat your lunch. No, I'm going to give you technology to run your business proper, utilizing the expertise that we're bringing from South Africa.
I love it. Last time we had you on the show, though, you had just been to South America. And that looks like a hell of an exciting place. And I mean, there's so much going on there at the moment. They've got a new president in Argentina who's kicking ass. Javier Milei.
Yep.
Everybody's talking about him. He's got wild hair and he's just throwing out. He's cut the government down to, I think, a quarter of what it was before. So maybe he's setting a new trend. But that looked very cool. You did Brazil, Argentina?
Yeah, so Argentina and Brazil. And that's already starting to show fruits there. So I don't want to, and we are under NDA, but we've already progressed reasonably well with both TMCs, tour operators, and looking at some products there. So it definitely is a market that we will be in soon.
Nice.
So now I can say we will be in there.
Very good. That's exciting stuff. Remember to go to travel.co.za to make your dream holiday a reality. And Monet was also instrumental in helping us to put together the first time traveler experience, which we did 2 weeks ago. We took some people who had never been in a plane, never been in a hotel, gave them the weekend of their lives, and everybody seems to have enjoyed that tremendously, including some of your staff who'd never been. And, if you work in a travel company, you just assume everybody in the company has been on a plane. And some of these guys had never, ever been on a plane before. They were so excited. It was fantastic.
It's, Gary, it was really, really special. And I've got to say, even still to, yesterday, one of the cleaners that we sent there comes and hugs me every day because the experience is still so real for her.
Yeah.
So
now she knows what you're selling.
Correct. Taking things for granted. I mean, I think I've been on more than 750 flights, stayed in more than 1,000 hotels around the globe, and you just take it for granted. And then, just eye openers. And it's true. You've traveled extensively. And my kids are their main aim is to say, listen, we're going to go and travel out there. I mean, they've been very fortunate that they've got a dad that's in travel. So I've opened their lives to the world. but they've studied reasonably, or they're studying reasonably good degrees here in order for them to make it possible to go and travel. So their first thing is, bugger just wanted to go and earn the cash. I want to go and work overseas, travel there, experience the actual world, and I can always come back home.
Yeah, I mean, traveling opens up your mind. You get to understand different perspectives, different ways of life. It's the only way you grow. And we need to encourage people a lot more. In fact, travel needs to become a need,
well,
I think.
I mean, if you talk to people, millennials and Gen Z, so I suppose you fit into the millennials category.
Yes, not Gen Z.
They would rather spend money on travel than own a house.
Right? Gareth, I come from that era of yours, so we're in the 70s, so God forbid we didn't have AI at that point in time, because we might have looked very different.
But they do. These kids,
food preparers.
They don't want to own a house or rent a property if they're going to stay in one place. They want to be traveling. They want to be moving around the world. They want to be working remotely from all these bizarre and interesting places. And you can see it. You just have to go and look at their social media. That's the dream. They want to travel all the time.
And I think the one thing that we mustn't forget is we must probably have one of the best countries from a travel perspective in the world.
Damn
so
right.
Every single time I come back and I walk on those South African colored flag tiles at OR Tambo, say, I'm so happy I'm home.
Me too.
And
love it.
If we can, yes, let's export all of our shit there. Let's grab their money. Let's make sure that we show them how great they are, but make sure that we bring them here to come and experience
excellent
where we're from.
Just one last thing. Would you either of you use a phone if Elon brought out his own phone? Would you use that rather than Apple?
I would. Truthfully, I don't bet against Elon Musk. It's a bad bet. I would use it.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, Jack. I think what he's creating there. Look, I love Apple, and Apple works. We know that it does.
Yeah.
So maybe until you've actually made sure that the Elon phone is better, we'll have that as a backup there, because we do know Apple works. But if you really think what he's done with Starlink and how he managed to get the US government to put all of his satellites up there so that he can create the World Wide Web, and wherever we travel, his phone will be linked no matter where you are.
Yeah, imagine that.
Sounds bloody cool. Maybe, I mean, is that really what we want? How are we going to then become more dependent on this device in our hands?
I don't think it's possible for people to become more dependent than they already are. The only way that you can make them even more dependent is if you actually put it in their brain, which is another business he's got.
Yep.
So yes, genius, and I think hopefully he's got our travel apps on his phone at that point in time.
I love it. All right, thank you, Monet. Very nice to see you.
Thanks, guys.
You got
Thank you.
a nice busy day ahead of us, and good to see Monet at the start of it. So just keeping us up to date with what's happening. The latest in travel and travel tech with Travel IT Global. Very exciting. I love the fact that we can export some of our best stuff to the rest of the world, not just the other way around.
And get paid fully for it.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're not giving anything away for free.
So Bitcoin Bot says, Javier Milei is fun, but go and look at Nayib Bukele from El Salvador. I love this guy. Did you watch his interview? Who interviewed him the other day? I want to say Tucker Carlson, but I'm not sure. Anyway, this guy is absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. There's so many. How many politicians these days does anyone use the word fantastic?
Yeah.
To describe them. This guy's amazing.
There was a time I thought there was a vacuum of leadership in the world, and then people like Nayib Bukele show up, and you're like, you know what? There actually are people who stand on business, as the Gen Z say. Yeah. It's about getting shit right, and I commend that man. Like,
fantastic.
In 3 years to slash the basically the crime.
Oh no, the crime rate
country.
Was so. I mean, El Salvador was run by gangsters.
I mean.
And he built this prison. He just put them all in there.
Yeah.
If you have any link to the gangsters, just put you in jail. We'll get to your trial eventually, but you've basically put yourself in the firing line.
See what I mean?
I mean, if we did that, sure, that would be quite something, huh?
It
put
would
all
be.
those bad people away. So maybe think about that this morning. All right. It is the 12th of June. It is chilly, but it is not going to stop us. So we've got more for you just after 7. Don't go anywhere.
This week on the Auto Trader podcast.
Manuals will ultimately make you a better driver, especially those of you who are watching that are learning how to drive. This is the thing. And the reason being is you become more attentive of what the car is actually doing. in the sense that you're remembering that, okay, the car feels like this, the car is behaving like this. What am I actually doing? What is my speed and everything else in between? Whereas with automatics, it becomes you're more of a passenger, you become more autonomous, especially with the way vehicles are going now.
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
I don't drink.
So really, even the zero.
Because why am I drinking the zero? People who drink zero, why do they even drink it themselves? Because aren't you drinking to get drunk? So do you like beer that much that you drink it for the taste?
So for a question,
imagine it came out. They came out with more reward, more action. Black Label Zero now in stores. I feel you have a problem. Black Label Zero.
No, man. You don't drink it for the taste, believe it or not.
No, you guys are injured. Sure.
Let me ask you, because you know.
This stuff on, otherwise you have hands like a crocodile. Man, I hate that about winter, right? Do you need some
leather?
Vaseline.
It turns into leather.
Yeah, we get all ashy. That's what happens. It's no good. That's the winter thing. Okay. Good morning, everybody. We're off to an amazing start for the day today. We've got lots on the agenda. I've got some funny stuff to talk to you about. We were just discussing Nayib Bukele of El Salvador. In his second term, according to Bitcoin But, says he's done because the Constitution says only 8 years. He'll be voted in by the people to do another term or two. Well, you see, if the Constitution says he can't, then you don't want that. You don't want someone breaking the Constitution. Of course, MK want to change the Constitution.
Why, man? Listen, when you get a win, just take your win and go home.
14% is not bad. That is better than any other new party has ever achieved in South Africa. But these guys just don't seem very happy with it.
That is such a big W. Take your W and go home.
As someone said to Duduzile, though, a while ago on Twitter, on X, they said, maths is obviously not a big, strong suit in your family.
Not at all.
You know, they're not sure.
1,040,000. Listen carefully. For 60,000.
All right, I want to play you something that is, I think, one of the most unbelievable recordings ever made. This was recorded at the end of World War I. You know, they signed the armistice, and at precisely 11 o'clock, all guns stopped.
This is 1919.
No, 1918.
18. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is the end of the war, and you can actually hear it. So this is a recording that was made on the battlefield in France, I think near Verdun. And take a listen to this, because there's something at the end of this which is heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. You hear the guns and they're going crazy, and then they stop at 11 o'clock sharp, because again, people followed orders, right?
Mhm.
And then there's silence, but there's a sound right at the end that just made me, oh man, it hit me hard, like right in the solar plexus. Just listen to this.
Oh my goodness.
Did you hear that?
Mm.
The birds.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being an animal, a bird or whatever, and all of this chaos is going on around you? I mean, there were not a tree was left standing. Everything was turned to matchsticks, right? These huge big guns, shells exploding all over the place. Imagine being a bird. You don't have a tree to land in, and then suddenly it all goes quiet, and you're like, what the hell? And you hear the first sound you hear after all those guns go silent is that bird song. Just it breaks my heart. You think about that, and you can't relate to it now. You know,
it blows my mind. They legit stopped at all at the same time.
Yeah,
it like, you know what, we take a lot of things for granted in 2024. I don't think there's too many people that could have made it through the First World War. Well, the people who are alive right now, I don't see too many of us who would have been able to have seen that level of devastation or be able to follow orders to the point whereby when they say 11 a.m. you stop, people would stop. I don't think so.
I watched the D-Day 80th year celebrations on the weekend. I watched a few of the speeches that were made. Biden, King Charles, the French President Macron, and I found it so moving that you've got these 100-year-old men now. You know, these are guys. This is the Second World War, not the first, but because all those guys are already dead.
Yeah,
but these are probably the last living people who have actual experience of what happened in the 1940s, early 1940s in Europe. And it's an incredible thing to think about the world that they delivered to us and the world they delivered us from.
Yeah.
Because I see a lot of people online these days talking about war. The one guy said, this old soldier, I mean, he's in a wheelchair and, you know, he's very near the end of his life because he's really, really ancient. And you think this guy stormed the beaches of Normandy in 1944, and you think about the fact that he might not have made it. He did. A lot of his friends didn't. And he talks about his experience there, and he says, you know, there's just noise and chaos, and all you're trying to do is not get shot. And you don't know, because someone could be aiming a bullet at you. You're not Superman. You can't dodge a bullet.
Yeah.
So you're just hoping, and you're watching literally as people fall all around you. And he said, if I had any advice for young people or for anyone who's alive today, don't have a war. He said, it's a horrible thing. You don't want a war. So
it's pretty insane that you have to say that. Like, don't go to war.
Yeah.
Look, movies do a really good job of, you know, bringing us the closest approximate to what could have possibly happened. But I don't think too many of us realize just how unbelievable those kind of situations are. Anyone that's ever been close to a war-torn area will let you know, like, that it's not fun. And life is not a movie. You're not going to be ducking bullets and all of this stuff. Like, when a genuine bullet is headed in your direction, listen,
you can do.
There's nothing you can do.
There are a lot of comments here about the poor guy who must have been shot at 10:59. But there are stories about those last few minutes of the war where, someone was captured in that last half an hour and they were going to be shot because obviously if you captured an enemy and they were hostile, you shot them. That was the rules of war. And there are stories about people who just made it or people who just didn't. And it's heartbreaking. In fact, there've been a number of movies that have been made about this too. And it's emotionally devastating to just think about it. Anyway, I thought that recording was amazing. Someone asked in the comments, where did I find the recording? You can find it online. There's so much interesting stuff on the internet. I know we spend most of our time looking for celebrities screwing up or people doing stupid TikTok dances, but there's actually a lot of amazing stuff on the internet, and that's why I love it. Huge Erection says, would anyone in the comments section really fight for a country these days if there was a World War III? Would any of us? This is the question, right? And Ronald Reagan 40 years ago, at the 40th anniversary of D-Day, made a beautiful speech. That's something you should look at online.
Yeah.
If you really want to be inspired. I listened to that over the weekend because Joe Biden made mention of it in his speech. And I thought, wow, I wonder what Reagan said. Ironically, Reagan was 73 at the time he made that speech, and people were already saying he's too old to be president. I got Joe Biden at 89, 90 years old, and he's a lot older. But anyway, Ronald Reagan's speech, one of the most moving things you will hear. And he asks in the speech, where do we find these men? Where do we find these men who would be prepared to sacrifice everything? And remember, for American soldiers, this was going to a place most of them had never been before, to France, to Europe.
Yeah.
To fight in a war that they weren't directly involved in. That they were going to fight for something which was greater than national security, oil, stability, democracy, any of these things. The biggest thing that they were fighting for is they were fighting against a monstrous totalitarian regime that would have forced everyone to speak German. They would have killed a huge percentage of the population who they didn't think were Übermenschen. And I think it takes serious balls and values to be able to decide that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sacrifice my life. I mean, you leave your family behind, you get on a ship, you go to Britain, you're training all the time, you're learning how to fight and use a gun and do things that you've already got the training for in America, but now you're learning to do it for, beach warfare and an attack on the Nazis. And you do all of that, not for money, not for direct rewards. I don't know where we would find people like that anymore. If we needed men, because it's men, it wasn't women, regardless of what they tell you. If we needed men now to fight a war like that, I don't know if we'd find them.
We would have a tough time. Yeah, we would have to force a couple of people to do it. I don't see too many people just readily lifting their hands to be brought into the fold. I just don't see it.
I don't.
And I think we oversimplify things. We as people in 2024, I think we just look at situations and think they would be a breeze, or we just simply survive it and whatnot. But the truth of the matter is, more than less of us would die.
Yeah,
would perish.
Karen says, my mom died. My mom turned 95 on the 6th of June. Over the years, she's told me about having to go down to air raid shelters and having food rations, etc. Yeah. That's something I spoke to Kate Turkington about a while ago. She turned 90 not so long ago. And that's something that she experienced. V. Rus says, if Lesotho went to war with South Africa, I'd fight for Lesotho.
They'd need all the help they can get as well.
Oh, man. Okay, so let's go to the from the sublime to the ridiculous, right? So this is a clip of Kevin Spacey on Piers Morgan. Did you see this?
Yes, I did.
All right, so you're no stranger to this. There may be people who haven't seen it yet, so I'm going to let you watch this. This is his first major interview since he's been, I think, largely acquitted on all the charges that he was, doing dodgy things and raping people and all kinds of sexual advances that were unrequited. But whatever whatever he's done, take a look at this clip, and I want to hear your thoughts on this afterwards. Join us in the comment section. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, because otherwise you don't get to see this stuff. So take a look at this.
Where do you live now? Well, it's funny you asked that question, because this week, where I have been living in Baltimore, is being foreclosed on. My house is being sold at auction. Really? So I have to go back to Baltimore and put all my things in storage. Really? So the answer to that question is, I'm not quite sure where I'm going to live now, but I've been in Baltimore for since we started shooting House of Cards there. So how long is that? I moved there in 2012. So this has been your home for 12 years? Well, not this particular place, but this place has been my home and Evan and Lucy's home since 2016. Why is it being foreclosed? Because I can't pay the bills that I owe. Are you facing bankruptcy? Been a couple of times when I thought I was going to file, but we've managed to sort of dodge it, at least as of today. How much money do you have? None. Really? Well, I mean, you have some sense of legal bills. Yeah. I still owe a lot of legal bills that I have not been able to pay. You're actually in debt? Yes. Do you mind me asking how much you owe? It's considerable. Millions? Many millions, yes. The house itself is many millions. What are you going to do? Get back on the horse.
So Jack is laughing. I mean, I don't know how to feel about this, except that I don't know what's wrong with us as humans that we have to do this to people who are already going through a lot. And there's something really crass and ugly about the way that and remember, he's part of this. He's volunteered to be in this interview. So I don't have a huge amount of sympathy for Kevin Spacey personally. I do, when I watch that, I feel bad, just because if any of us were in that situation, we would maybe do an even less brave job. I mean, he says he's going to get back on the horse, which is the way that clip ends. I think it ends on a high, because I do believe some people can pick themselves up by their bootstrings and start again. I just don't know why we have to watch people descend into disaster every time. What is it about us that we need to see this? Why are human beings so shitty that we need to drag everybody out into public spaces? And again, he volunteered to be on this show, so he could have just kept quiet and stayed home. I don't like seeing this. I'm not afraid to admit that I don't like seeing other people in pain and in difficulty and in misery. And yet this is how you get TV ratings. Yeah. I'll never understand it. I don't think it's entertainment. Astrophysics says it's entertainment, Gareth. How many people feel like that but can't do anything? Here's what bothers me, is the people who enjoy it. And there are a lot of people who actually enjoy seeing this stuff. There is an element of disgusting base Schadenfreude. Yep. Where they're actually just watching it and enjoying that person going through pain, because it makes them feel that they're better people.
And it's like this 10-second feeling of feeling better. And the reason I was laughing, Gareth, is not because I don't have any sympathy for Kevin Spacey. The reason I'm laughing is because this has been happening for decades, man. Yeah. We'll have someone who will reach the highest heights, abuse their power, and then the very same person will expect sympathy. Us to sympathize with them. It's like, no, Kevin, when you were Kaiser Sose,
yes,
and you were winning Academy Awards left, right, and center, there were no tears. There were no tears. And we spoke about what he did to some of those men a few weeks ago.
Yes.
And sure, I did put a bit of culpability on some of those victims, but the truth of the matter is he abused his power. Some people's lives are, they can't fix their lives after that, right? And here he is, a man with, I am sure, multiple properties across the globe, expecting us.
I don't know so much. I think he's telling the truth. I think he's telling the truth about the cost of, hiring
the
lawyers.
legal fees and whatnot. Yeah,
that's expensive stuff. And it doesn't matter. Like, it's none of our business.
It's none of our business
that he has no money. And I don't feel sorry for him personally. It's not like I would give up my money to help Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, no.
But I think there's something very weird about the rest of us, from Piers Morgan to everybody else who watched that clip. If you take any joy in another person's misery, I think that's weird.
It is
very bizarre.
It is weird. And if that interview, I watched most of it, it was almost a cry for help from someone. Like it was like watching a giant cry, basically. That's difficult to watch no matter what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, it's Vincent says obviously he's being paid so that Piers Morgan could get the ratings, but nothing was asked about the ball grabbing and ass smacking, all for ratings.
See?
Yeah, listen. I also think people have very complex lives, and they do a lot of stupid shit in their lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't doubt that if you said to Kevin Spacey, if you could go back and do everything again, would you do it differently? He would definitely say yes, because it doesn't look like that man's in a great place, right? So what do we do as humanity to forgive people? When do we decide we can forgive and forget? When do we decide it's okay to move on?
I think that's the victim's job, right? If the victims are the ones that tell us, look, we have made peace with this, I think it's okay for everyone else to forgive this person, then cool. But not a moment before. I'm not going to just readily forgive Kevin Spacey because he didn't do anything wrong to me.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care.
See what I mean? So the victims, the people that were actually affected by his actions, should be the ones to lead us in the forgiveness story.
I think I'm getting closer to the question that I'm actually interested in here, because I don't want to dance around the issue. What I'm interested in is, why is it that people who are unrelated to a situation feel that they have a say in a situation? Okay, so if you weren't abused by Kevin Spacey, you can't be upset on behalf of people who were. You're just inserting yourself into a situation that didn't involve you. Similarly, if you're one of those people who's taking huge pleasure in his misery now, that's not your business.
Yeah, it's not.
It's like we've forgotten what is and isn't our business. Everybody thinks they have a right to be in everybody else's business. From, the good people to the bad people. Like everyone, we were talking about Elon Musk just before the break. Everyone thinks they have to have an opinion on Elon Musk. And I'm like, why? It's none of your business, actually.
Again, like I social media and the internet, because we reward very minimal effort, people think that they actually have, or people want to hear their opinion on a bunch of things. People just, we don't care. And
we love seeing someone fall.
Yeah, I mean, that's a human condition. But I mean, and on top of that, I think people who don't have a business of their own, like who don't have things to do in their own lives, will look for other shit in other people's lives to do. It's just the way sad, lonely people are. And if you are getting pissed off about something that happened online that is not connected to you at all, I suggest you find some meaning in your life, find some purpose.
Plant some things in the garden.
You know what I mean? Listen, here's an idea. Do some push-ups. Just do 10. Whenever you feel that urge that you are getting angry and you need to vent on social media about how whoever from across the planet is pissing you off, just do 10 push-ups. I promise you it'll fade. It'll fade.
All right. I mean, I think that's it's horrible to see. I don't enjoy seeing any of that stuff. I really don't.
No.
I don't mind seeing the people crying because they are, what did the woman say? Her situation?
Time blindness.
Time blindness. They suffer from time blindness and they're crying out. That's hilarious. You know what else is hilarious is Joe Biden is so old that he was at a concert. They gave a concert for Juneteenth, which is a made-up holiday in America. The Democrats had a big party at the White House. First of all, there are three things you need to look at in this video, because in it you'll see Joe Biden, you'll see Kamala Harris, you'll see Kamala's husband, Doug Emhoff, and you'll see like a man in a dress. It could be Michelle Obama. I don't know. But you have to tell me. And you just tell me, like, first of all, is Kamala's husband, Doug, not the whitest white guy ever? Look at how he dances. Is Joe Biden even moving, or is he just frozen solid in this clip? And then who is the man in a dress? Have a look.
Hey, man.
What a sad video. So,
like,
I think that is Michelle Obama, by the way.
I have never in my life
what a weird
seen
collection of people.
So many weird contradictions in one video.
It's interesting, right? That's interesting.
That is intense. That is insane.
So, first of all, you notice Joe doesn't move at all. It's like, I don't understand. The guy's just he's dead.
Like,
I think they put him there like a cardboard cutout, and he's like. Apparently, I think it was Beyonce. Beyonce was on stage or something. I don't know who it was singing, but clearly Kamala and the man in a dress, they knew the moves. They were like,
yeah, I mean,
and then Doug, Kamala's husband, what an uncomfortable looking dude.
Do you know what's crazy? It looks like all of them are lost in some sort of
weird
moment, and like Joe Biden is going to be, well, he's still running to be president of the United States. How is this real? How is this?
Bizarre.
So you've got a man in a dress and a wig.
No.
Next to
you think it's
white.
Michelle?
No, it's not Michelle. It's not Michelle. No.
Okay.
A man in a dress and a wig next to some balding white guy.
Yeah.
Next to one of the most
first gentleman or the second gentleman. I mean, what a thing to be called.
One of the most annoying human beings to ever walk the planet.
Yeah, but at least in this video, she's the most normal one.
Mamala, really?
Yeah, Mamala.
Ugh.
She's all right.
Next to a dementia patient.
With rigor mortis, yeah.
I mean,
it's
what
funny.
is going on?
You see, now these are the people. By the way, I must just remind you that in that clip are the two people who are the closest to the nuclear codes.
Oy.
Think about that. They have the nuclear football somewhere near them that can launch thousands of nuclear warheads at a moment's notice. That scares the hell out of me.
Yes, it does. Because if Joe Biden has some sort of World War II flashback, hey, guys, we might be in trouble.
Anyway, Biden isn't running to run the country. He's just a sick puppet for BlackRock, says Congo Chris. There's some conspiracy theories coming along. Wen says Joe has some form of Parkinson's. He seems frozen. Well, Parkinson's, you move.
You move.
You're not frozen, I don't think. He had men in dresses at the White House a few months back, says Bitcoin bought some tranny get together. It goes to show just how shit the USA is. They're unable to come up with better offerings than Joe Biden and Trump, says Joking Atheist. Yeah.
Man.
Unreal, huh?
It is
unreal.
You know, Like,
this is the world we live in.
it's funny. You'd think to yourself the world can't get crazier, and then they just keep rolling this stuff out. They keep
wild.
rolling it out.
It's wild.
At the beginning of the year, I thought to myself, Trump making those golden sneakers would
Yes.
be a headline. But look,
It's nothing.
it's nothing. It is nothing.
No, it's crazy. The Pale Stale White Man Club just got taken Black Man Lady. It got token Black Man
Token,
Lady,
yeah.
sorry. Yeah, listen, if you watch that and you don't find it interesting, you're not paying attention.
Yeah,
It's
you're not.
pretty weird.
It is
That's
so
the
weird.
kind of stuff that passes for the leadership of the free world now.
Mhm.
So get ready, everybody. We're in for a hell of a ride.
Yeah, we are.
Speaking of being in for a hell of a ride, it's time to talk to Nicolas Regisford, who I love talking to. He's put on a show that we're all going to be at on Friday and Saturday. It is going to be, I think, for people who are interested in podcasting, probably the thing to get to. It's called the South African Podcast and Music Festival.
Mhm.
And obviously, in today's digital age, storytelling has found a new and vibrant platform through podcasting. We've been doing that for 10 years here, but there are a lot of people who've just got into it now. And for anybody who's starting off, you want to find out who the people are that you can learn from.
Yeah.
You want to go and hear what they have to say. You want to see what they have to teach you. And this is what Nicolas has decided to put together. So he's given us 3 reasons that you should consider diving into podcasting as a business. Do you want to hear those?
I would love to hear
We
those.
can ask him about them.
Mhm.
But this is a really good show. It's a prime example of the growing enthusiasm for podcasting in South Africa. The upcoming event promises a wealth of knowledge and networking opportunities for aspiring and seasoned podcasters alike. So I'm going to be speaking there. We got Samia Ref, we got Penwell, the Black Pen, we got Paulo Diaz, Brendan Spike Ballantyne, who was one of our producers for a while at Cliff Central, Lebang Hosana, who of course you know from Cliff Central too. John Savage will be there too. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes,
and
sir.
of course, the guy behind it all is Nicolas. How are you, sir?
Oh man, I'm so happy. I'm really happy to be here.
It's
I'm
nice
so
to see
happy
you.
to be here and to hang out with you.
Good.
Like,
Great to see you.
The pioneer, the game starter. You started
Fire
the
starter.
game.
Arta. So listen, it's 2 days, 14, 15 June at Emperor's Palace. And we'll tell people how to get tickets if they want to come along. But I mentioned just now, what are the 3 reasons people would want to get into podcasting? So what do you think those are, Nick?
I think people have got a chance to tell unique stories, authentic stories, to take out things that deeply inside they are burning with. And to create a story and reference for their presence on the earth. I think people are saying podcasting now gives me an opportunity to be global, gives me an opportunity to reach more people, gives me an opportunity to be recognized, and gives me an opportunity to maybe just get stuff off my chest. So there's more than 3 reasons, but I've tried for publicity purposes and packaging to bring it down. So
I like these 3. I mean, the first one you've hinted at with reach and influence, because everybody's looking to share, but they also want other people to acknowledge that they're adding value.
Yeah.
So, you know, everyone has a podcast these days.
Yeah.
But some of them have an audience.
Right.
Some
Yeah.
do not. And you want a podcast that has an audience so that you know that what you're saying is having an impact.
Right.
That's all.
Right.
Otherwise, you might as well be talking to yourself in your room at home.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
The other thing is creative freedom. So the nice thing, and one of the reasons I got into it, and I suspect this is also why you guys both like it so much, is that you have the ability to say what's on your mind. You could talk about anything you like. You can be controversial. You can speak honestly and openly. And of course, you're going to get a lot of people who disagree with you. You get a lot of people who love what you're saying. And then the third one is monetization. Now, that's a lot harder, right, Nick?
Well, unfortunately, people put that thing before the purpose.
Yeah.
So I had a conversation and wrote an article about, you know what? Deliver value before you focus on the purse.
Yeah.
Even if you can smell the purse, what is your value proposition?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Who are you doing this for? And if that's genuine and not something that you're creating a podcast out of because you think it's a good business idea,
right?
I think you got more chance to win. So money, for me, is the third thing. You get the token of appreciation once you've added value and you've been authentic and you've been consistent and you've contributed to the game. And in essence, that's my whole approach even right now. Like, I'm not expecting money right now. I'm just blessed that we got it. Yeah. Thank you to the Department of Arts and Culture.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well done to them. That's one of the few things they've done right.
Shout out to them. Shout out to them.
But I like what you're saying. And, you know, I never take this audience of ours for granted, by the way. I mean, you heard in the comments this morning, just after we started the show, someone who's been listening for 17 years. There's someone else who said they'd been here for a very long time. Listen, I couldn't do what I do, and it wouldn't matter if I didn't have the audience that we have.
Yeah.
So I get up on a cold winter's morning, and I'm like, what am I doing this for? It isn't for the money.
Right.
It shouldn't be. It
right?
can't be.
And if it was, I think I would have stopped a long time ago, because there isn't that much money in it, just doing shows. What it is about creating essentially a tribe, a community, and being able to, that value that you talk about, being able to bring people in so they can hear about stuff that our clients are into, that they're into, that we can make them meet somewhere, that they can exchange value themselves, whether it's their time, their effort, their money, whatever it might be. That's special. And that was never possible before at this scale. You had to own a big media company. You had to be, you know, a CBS, ABC, HBO, any of the other, SABC. You had to have like the acronym behind you before you could do that before. So things have changed, and I think it's a great thing.
It is. And, you know, for some of us, it's about growing. And I'm not speaking about your audience. It's about, as an individual, understanding that you don't live in a vacuum. There are other people with different opinions to you. Which means there's a lot of space for you to grow and learn, because there isn't a single person that has all the information in the world in their head.
Right.
So we have to share it.
Right.
And using the technology that we have now, being the ability for you to put out a message and reach millions of people is what genuinely excites me about what we do on a daily basis.
And I think archiving is also something that I think is important.
It's a time capsule.
Archiving stories, archiving times, archiving opinion, archiving and documenting the moments. We've been in this communication game for a long time, 2 decades. And the number one thing that I've learned by talking to radio people right now about podcasting, because I go everywhere with my phone and I ask questions, right? Is like, oh, you're uncensored. That's why I love podcasting. Right. So it's uncensored, like this restriction that comes with platforms that are governed by money, directors, boards, and all this sort of thing.
Traditional media
and rules.
It squashes people's creativity and sense of like really what they want to do. So they don't bring themselves fully. With podcasting, you'll see that people here in Africa are bringing themselves fully, and they really want to win. So that's what I'm excited about. And I want to contribute positively to this game. I want to join the space that Gareth started more than 10 years ago with good value.
I mean, this is also why I'm really happy to be talking at your festival, because I mean, you're not going to pay me, so I could say no.
Right.
But it's also important to give back and to talk to the people who might be the next generation in doing this. People like Jack, you coming along. But what I love is I met you in, I think, 2 different ways. The first time I met you was through your wife, Liz, who people who've been listening to Cliff Central for a long time will remember. Liz Regisford, who did the fashion show, right? They did a show on Cliff Central.
Fashion Lab.
That's it. And I also met you probably around about the same time through DJ Spoo. I can't remember which came first. That's why I brought up both. But you and DJ Spoo have been working together for a long time, and he's always been a real forward thinker. I mean, I know he's done podcasting, he's done radio, he's done the in taxi radio station. He's done a lot of really cool stuff, and Spoo is one of those people who's also, you know, not content to just sit and do things the same way.
Correct.
So he's also involved in this, is he?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. We're brothers. We're business partners and brothers.
Right.
You were at my house with Touch and Spoo, and we had Massive Metro, you had Cliff Central, and he had Touch HD. We had a game-changing concept that we didn't do. We were going to have one rate card and sell that rate card to the industry. We didn't do it. I don't know why, Jack. I don't know why, but respect to Gareth.
I have my suspicions, but I'll keep that to myself.
Because he's still here, and everybody plays a role in developing the game.
Yeah.
So this part here is now an evolved version of that. I started working with Spoo in 2013 on Leadership 2020.
Right.
And we met to develop leaders. I don't know how old you were in 2013, right?
14 years old.
Right. So now you're 27. So at 14, you wouldn't have gotten into that event. But there were people like maybe 5 years older than you, 20, 21, 22, that came into that event who have now gone and blown up. Came into that movement and have now gone and blown up. So with podcasting and music, the festival, the idea is to do the same thing. Create a family, right? Bring you in, give you knowledge from those who've got it, who are willing to give. We believe that with our work and our ethos and our approach to doing development of people, education first, networking second, entertainment third. And, you know, we do things in threes. It's public relations and comms, right?
Right.
But, you know, three
There's
things.
a strategy here.
Listen, man, I'm a master strategist.
I love it.
Tell them, right? Tell them, Gareth. He's a master Anyway, listen. The reality of what we're doing is taking people who are hungry for knowledge, bringing them to a meeting of note, and leveraging our relationships in the game to create something sustainable. How are we going to make money from it? We will see later.
Yeah.
How many people are going to come to the event? We will see later. But what we can guarantee is that the knowledge and the information and the intent is big and beautiful.
It reminds me of a movie back in the day, Build It and They Will Come.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right.
That's it. That's exactly it.
You either take Muhammad to the mountain or you take mountain to Muhammad,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So how's podcasting doing in this country? Do you have any feel on that? Because I speak to people all the time. They ask me, how do I get into podcasting? And frankly, I don't know the answer to that. All I usually say to them is you've got to do something either that you do better than anyone else,
or be the only one doing it.
Yeah. And there's space, right? I mean, there are people who have podcasts on fishing.
Absolutely.
And there are like, I don't know, 200 people who are listening to that every week.
Right.
But if you're a business that sells fishing tackle, that's the show to be on.
Right. Exactly.
You don't waste your money trying to reach 6 million people.
Right. Exactly.
If you can reach the 200 people who are going to buy your stuff.
Exactly.
So there's value in that. But podcasting has grown. I remember going around 10 years ago and telling people and half the people didn't know what it was.
Right.
They're like, what?
Right.
Obviously, podcasting's older than 10 years. It's been around since probably, I'd say the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
But a lot of people only caught on around 2010, somewhere around there.
Right.
And now I'd say most South Africans know what a podcast is.
Yeah.
I mean, now podcasts are like ours. We call this a podcast, but it's visual. We do it for YouTube as much as for everything else.
Yeah.
So it's changing as we speak. Yeah. And, you know, we're using lots of new technology and doing things a bit differently here. Yeah. But where do you think it's going?
So you asked the question, how's it doing? And then where's it going? And I'd like to start with how's it doing? I think it's dangling a massive carrot in front of people. And people are trying to decide, how do I get in? What do I make my set look like? But Gareth does it like this. And Penuel looks like that. And Spoo looks like this. Yeah. And they get overwhelmed and flustered. And then they don't start.
Yeah. That's right. You actually got to get off your ass and start it.
So take your phone, right? Record the interview with Jack. Post it. Start.
You're done.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it's dangling a massive carrot. And what we need to do is be clear on what it is. So what is a podcast? Is a great question. Because some people don't do video. Some people do TV. Some people are just about audio. I met a radio producer the other day who said, listen, video is not going to last, but audio lives longer and it's better. And I can quote Gareth saying back in the day, audio is something you can do while you're doing other things. You do it yourself. You do it uniquely. Gareth, man, you've dropped so many gems that I just got them in my Gareth. My Gareth.
You've got a vault.
I don't even remember some of these.
But you were at the event talking about this at Regenesis, and you said, listen, we're doing this thing because it's a space where, you know, you either have your niche or you're growing an audience to sell. And I think that podcasting presents a unique opportunity for people to decide what they want to do with it. I'm not making a podcast yet. I'm just making TikTok videos, and I will not call that a podcast. I go out.
By the way, the Congo Chris says in the comments here, the unique selling point for this show is the interaction with a belligerent comment section, which is right. I mean, credit where credit is due. The comment section keeps us on our toes.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Where's it going?
No. Yeah, where's it going? So that's the follow-up question, because I don't know the answer to that. Everybody thinks that, people who are doing it will know where the next step is. We don't really. We've got to gamble a little bit. So you bet on it going in this direction, and then it does. Yeah. Maybe you bet wrong. Yeah. I don't know all the answers.
Yeah.
I think it's about placing your bet. That's the most important thing. You have to place your bet.
It's like that for every business, right?
Yeah.
If you're in insurance, or you're in the medical business, or you're in selling cars, you kind of have to throw a line out and hope that you catch something.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that businesses, everything's worked out, right? There's rooms full of smart people who come up with all the answers, and they just know. And obviously they knew this was going to happen. I mean, if that were true, there would have been people who bought Amazon shares when Jeff Bezos first started it that would be multi-billionaires now.
Yep.
But there aren't. There was just him who believed in it for the longest time. So I suppose you've also got to trust yourself.
Man, no one believes in what you're doing when you start.
No.
Like, no one cares.
No.
Right? So you just got to be bold. You got to get up and walk. And actually, Gareth is spot on, because he's saying you just got to see where it takes you. Right? Bring it authentically. Bring it as if no one pays you for it, you will still bring the same passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't know if it's going to work. I mean, like, this could be a disaster. There are a number of times I thought, and I think this is true for anybody. If you're listening to me now and you're thinking, yeah, that's true for me too, good, because then you know what I'm talking about. Whatever your business is, at some point you're lying in bed at night and you're like, oh, hell, I don't know if this is going to work. Yeah. I better have some plan B's, C's,
What do you mean
D's.
lying in bed? You're waking up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
With like, oh, man, what am I doing? Why am I doing
throbbing
this?
headache, and you're like, what the hell? What stupid decisions did I make? How did I get to this?
It's 3:14 in the morning. You don't have anything to do until 8, and like your business has woken you up.
Yeah.
Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a great thing.
Okay, so what do you do with that when you're woken up and you can't sleep? Where do you transfer that energy? Because believe me, this journey has been long.
It's funny you bring this up, because Jack said to me in the kitchen while we were making a cup of coffee this morning before we started the show.
Yeah.
I said to him, he poured something. It wasn't coffee. It wasn't alcohol. It was like an energy drink.
Yes.
I said to him, rough night, and he's like, no, he didn't sleep.
I couldn't get any sleep. Like, and the same thing happened on Monday evening, because I had a show on Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
There's a level of excitement. There's I wouldn't call it anxiety or nervous energy or anything like that, but I genuinely love doing this. I can't imagine myself doing anything else besides what I'm doing right now. Very second.
Then you've probably got a better feel on it than anyone else. I mean, that's a good place to start. If you hate what you're doing, you actually, I mean, we've all had jobs that we really didn't like, right? I was a waiter for one night, and I was so shit at it. Nick, you have no idea. So I was a waiter for one order. It wasn't even one night. I served one guy at one table, and I fired myself. I was like, I'm not doing this. So I realized, like, the services industry is probably not for me.
Yeah.
The hospitality, that's not my thing. But there are certain people who are really meant to do certain things. You know, when you see someone who's just they're just flying.
Yeah.
You think that person's in the right job.
Yep.
And then that might be for some people to be doing podcasting. It might be to sell, I don't know, packages in HR. Who knows?
Waking up out of excitement is fine. Waking up worried is not fine. Right? So as you grow and you develop and you produce and bring things to the earth, some people refer to it like bringing birth, right? So I'm birthing a podcast and music festival.
Right.
Yeah.
I have to make people feel confident and comfortable that it's going to be worth their time. I'm risking relationships. I'm spending a lot of time that I could be doing on something else, taking a risk, right? That's the beautiful thing about it. And then what happens is that you just have to just build the momentum and go with the flow. Don't fight it. Keep pushing. Do your best with the time you've got. I spoke to my mother. She told me something so beautiful. Just carry on, push the boat out and pray. That's all she told me. Push the boat out. And I literally am just doing that.
Tell me,
pushing it out.
Hold on, Jack. I want to give the audience the benefit of getting to know Nick a little bit better, because we've got a bit of time here. Tell us a little bit about you before I met you and before DJ Spoo and leadership and all that stuff. Where are you from? What's your background? Give us a little insight.
Thank you for doing the interview back to front.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like we're such seasoned broadcasters that this platform allows us to just do it any way we want. And there's no one saying to him, listen, why are you doing this way?
Exactly.
So this is where we're at. I was born in Zambia. I'm over 45. I'm 20 plus years working in South Africa and Africa. I consider myself a music media marketing expert. Right. I've been working in radio production, TV production, branding, starting companies. I've been in retail. I'm involved in agriculture. I don't want to go on because it sounds like you're gloating.
I love it. This is what we want to hear.
But my purpose and my passion right now is to develop people. But it started with broadcasting. So in 1999, I was the executive producer at YFM with Fat Joe, and we changed the game. We did Zoo morning radio in a way that Gareth was proud of us. He didn't tell us, but he was proud of us. We learned about Gareth because he was the shock jock on 5. Fat Joe and I went on and did a TV show together with Sammy Sabiti called The Fat Joe Show.
I remember it.
I fell out with Fat Joe because we got big heads and we were young.
Right.
He said to me one day at the Hyatt Hotel, like, listen, man, I don't think you can work with me anymore. At that time, I was like, okay, cool. What you going to do? Right. So you go on and you hustle and you look. Luckily, my sister was here working at Mnet. She introduced me to Metro FM. I went in, had an interview, met Romeo Kamala, who was the boss. Next minute, I'm producing Glenn Lewis Afternoon Drive Time Show.
Okay.
Boom. National platform. Boom. From YFM. Boom. So what, Joe? Boom. Let's do the journey, right? Let's go, right? So now look, right? And funnily enough, Joe and I are so tight today. We're working on business and construction projects right now across the continent, and we're doing other things than broadcasting, which is the beauty of it. But he brought me here from England, where I was working and studying in the media and communication space. I was interning at BBC, picking up phones, trying to get into the BBC. I have a degree in media and communications. I've always been interested in content. I started as a producer, but I'm good for the mic. I know how to do it. I've been waiting for my time.
The man's in flow. This is all very cool because it gives a little bit of insight into who you are.
Background,
yeah, I love this. And you, as you said, you're creating something brand new here, which is taking place. It's you've made it happen. You gave birth to this thing. Well done.
Thank you.
You call it the podcast and music festival. So what's the music part?
Well, music
we spent a lot of time talking podcasts. What about the music part?
But that's the intention. And I love it because every place I go and we talk about this, we spend 80% of the time talking about podcasts. And then, the music thing, tell me about that. How's that fitting in? So basically, when we put out this messaging, we have been getting responses like crazy from people who want to participate. Why? Because they trust us.
Okay.
Of the database that we've got, more than 60% of it is musicians who want a platform.
Okay.
20% podcasters. The rest of them are people who are interested in coming. Maybe they're curious, they want to buy tickets, or they want to exhibit and sell their food or whatever it might be.
Right.
So I'm interested in the detail and the data that's coming in. So the music component is day 2. Day 1 is podcasting. So on day 1,
God, I hope I'm on the right day.
Listen, man, we need you to spin some tunes. Like, we don't know. I'm joking.
No, but I saw you having like a party on the Saturday.
Thank you. So there's 4 parts to it. Podcast masterclass on Friday. In the breaks, aspiring musicians will perform.
Great.
That's right? Awesome. On the showcase stage. Right? Part of the sentiment of putting people on. Right? In the evening, DJ Spoo and friends will DJ. You'll go home, hopefully not too much consumption, and come back the next day, right? At 11 a.m.
Right.
And at 11 a.m., we do a music masterclass. And we've partnered with the Music Arena from Arena Holdings. And now that's Gallo, Antos Stella, and that crew, Quella. And we're going to be doing a whole display of music. DJ Cleo will be there. Robot Boy will be there.
Fantastic.
DJ Arch Jr. will be there. And we'll be doing a music masterclass, which is a keynote presentation from the Music Arena. If you don't know who the Music Arena, and if you don't know who Antos Stella is, she's 40 years in the game. Mahotella Queens, Lucky Dubé, like veteran. Now we are bringing her to the table, just like we're bringing you. on the value of our relationship with each other,
right?
To be able to help people like Jack. Sorry, Jack, man, you're such a subject here.
It's fine.
Like we keep talking, we just keep
this
coming like this to help people like
this.
you.
Well, you did.
This
he
is
did,
life.
He did try to get a ticket off of me, and I sent you the email, and you said sure.
Listen, man, Jack, you need 5 tickets.
Look, I'm actually covered, by the way. I am covered. By the way, you guys think you're the only ones that are connected. I'm connected myself. Okay. I've got tickets for Friday and Saturday.
Bring it.
And
all right. So listen, I want to give people the details because we're running out of time here.
Yeah.
By the way, there's somebody here. Sanela says, please, can we get Fat Joe as a guest? Will you hook us up? I haven't got his number anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hook us up. I got to get him on. Okay, Sanela said, that'll be a show and a half. So yeah, we'll get him on.
Dynamic.
So where is it and how much and when and what must people do? Where do they go for tickets?
Okay, let's start with the back, right? podcastandmusicfest.co.za.
Very good. You're selling the tickets yourself, so you don't use anybody else.
Thank you very much, Gareth.
Right.
You know how it goes, man.
Yeah,
Go to our website.
And I hope that give up like 40% of the ticket price to someone else.
I hope that you trust us, and that's where you go to learn about this event and our movement and our family and what we're about. All the speakers are there.
It's a great website, by the way.
Podcast and
Wendy,
Music
did you hear
Fest.
them say it's a great website?
It's a great
Anyway, listen.
There it is.
Podcastandmusicfest.co.za.
Podcastandmusicfest.co.za. 600 Rand. Buy one, get one free. So buy one and bring a friend.
Nice.
That gets you in for the 2 days, both events. So you buy the ticket at 600. You can go for 2 days with a friend, right? Because the idea is to bring you in, not to make
you're
profit.
interested in podcasts. They're interested in music.
Right. That's one of the things. And it's happening at the Red Roman Shed. Emperor's Palace. It's not happening in a conference venue. It's not happening in a venue with those carpets, man, and like those chairs and like the conference food. Nah, none of that. I think you're going to be like, when I see you on Friday, Gareth, I think you're going to be happy about what we are intending to do with this.
I'm never happy, so let's not count our chickens. But I know.
Let's make Gareth happy.
I'm going to be driving to the East Rand. I'm going to be driving to Emperor's Palace going, why did I say yes to this? And then I love it once I'm there, but on the way there I'm going to be like, just don't talk to me until I get there. When I get there, I'll be like, wow, Nick, look at this is amazing. But up to then I'm going to be like, oh, why did I say yes to this? A Friday, the last thing I want to do.
I love your honesty, man. I'm looking forward to your 30-minute session on whatever you're going to talk about.
I have no idea. I still haven't decided.
I was speaking to Simi about the running order.
You've got 2 days.
Yeah.
I was speaking to Simi about the running order, and then next to Gareth Cliff is just empty, but everyone else has got a section, right? Everyone else has got a title, right?
Yeah.
Next to Gareth Cliff is empty. Simi says to me, so what's Gareth going to be talking about? I said, it's up to Gareth. He says, why? I said, because he's Gareth.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
I think you've earned the right to do as you please.
I'm excited. I think you've got some great speakers there. I see you've got Lebang involved, who we love. You've got Simi Aref, who I spoke about just a moment ago. You spoke about Penwell Lochwa, who we love. So it's going to be good.
Double Dr. Tebe Ikhalefeng will give the opening plenary.
Tebe Ikhalefeng, I haven't seen him in ages.
He's doing the opening talk.
He's amazing.
He's passionate about brands and why we as podcasters and storytellers and creators have got a job to build Brand Africa. The list is long. Podcastandmusicfest.co.za. We've thrown a lot in.
Basically,
that's it, man.
Basically, Nicolas has gone through his entire phone list and pulled all the people that he can strong arm into this, and they're all in. I love it, and he's doing it for you. So buy your tickets. God damn it, don't be so ungrateful.
Thanks, G.
Podcastandmusicfest.co.za if you're interested.
Hope to see you guys there.
Awesome. And Jack will make an best star appearance. Sitting in the front row.
Yeah,
on both days. By the way, I'm waiting for the after party on Saturday.
Okay.
Nice.
Nick, that's the talk we want. That's the talk we want.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you
It's
too.
so lovely to see you, and love to Liz.
Thank you for.
I owe her a call. She messaged me the other day, and she's like, "When can you talk?" And I said, "About an hour," and then I never called her. So tell her I apologize.
Absolutely, we'll do.
Right. And we'll get together after the event and party.
Yeah, and hopefully you'll let me into the industry because you know you're a captain. Let me in, man. Of course. Let me in. Let me play.
The gatekeeper.
Yeah, we've got to open up the industry because I'm holding it back. I'm the one. Okay, I love it. Thank you, everybody. We will see you on Friday morning live from 6 o'clock. But there's also a burning platform tomorrow on the podcast party with Pumi Mashiho. Of course, on Friday, we'll have Simpiwe, we'll have Ben, and we've got lots of exciting stuff happening. So don't miss any of that. Got a busy week, and then, of course, Nicholas's show at the podcast and music festival. All of that is happening in the next 3 days. Ciao. We'll see you later.